Assalamu alaikum, hello and welcome to my show, Connecting with Saima Parwaz. I hope all of you are doing great and waiting to see my today's guest. As usual, we are here with Ayoun and Sabeeya. Welcome to my show, guys.
Thank you so much.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. We missed you last time, Sabeeya.
I know, sorry. I was on my personal endeavors.
Yeah, but we had a good chat last time.
It was nice.
It was nice.
Very
Yeah.
resourceful.
We always have very informative talk, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Actually, I am noticing now people are recognizing us now.
That's
Other
great.
day in Ridgeway Mall, someone asked, "Oh, you Saima do show with Ayoun," and I was happy. Yeah.
That's good to know. No, as long as we can spread awareness.
Yeah.
We purposely choose topics that are
Current affairs. Right?
current affairs and that are relevant to people in our society nowadays. And we hope in the coming future we can continue with that.
Yeah. Inshallah.
Inshallah.
Yes. All right. So, guys, we are going to discuss today international buyers market, which is a real estate mostly, right?
Sure.
Yeah. So I'm gonna ask, as usual, some questions and
Sure.
right.
Yeah, we'll try to be.
All right. So first, how was your day, guys?
We are still. I still feel like I'm running.
No, you're
that's
gonna
just
go
the
back
life
to
of
office, right?
lawyers. Yeah.
And I feel like if the weather was breaking through and we would see more of the sun, I was telling Ayoun, I think we would have more positive vibes. But
It's like, I think I was looking at social media on the other day, there was a day in Toronto that we experienced all four weathers in one day.
Oh, like all four seasons?
So we saw snow
Oh,
on
okay.
in the same day, rain, and then the temperature kind of went high into like the fall category, and then it became like very wintry again. So like it literally took a 360 all in one day.
I
So
believe you, I believe you.
it's playing with our feelings.
But I think now it's gonna be stable, right?
I hope so.
In
I mean,
May.
it's May. I mean, we expect at least 20 degrees.
You know what I was thinking last night? You know when we were younger, we would sing April showers bring me flowers?
Yeah.
And that's how the school would get decored,
Yeah.
right? And I was just like, okay, the April showers passed, but where are the May flowers?
Yeah. Apparently, there's a
You know what I
frost
mean?
tonight. There's a frost warning.
So then
So
there you go.
Yeah. It's,
we'll see how things go.
we are living in Canada.
That's
know.
Canada for you.
That's global warming for you.
Yeah.
Shift everywhere.
Okay, so guys, we are going to discuss international buyers real estate market today. We usually talk, me and Ayoun, usually for Canadian market. Today we're going to talk about a little bit on a wider level. And the international real estate buyers market is very broad. As we know, people go and wherever they get more profit, they go and invest in those countries or those areas. And which are a few clear patterns shape like how these things work. And so who are the major international real estate buyers, Ayoun?
So, Saima, like historically speaking, Canada has been a safe haven for international foreign investment. I don't want to go back in the 80s because it becomes irrelevant, but in the last 20, 25 years, one of the major driving factor for Canadian real estate was investments from foreign countries. Majority of this came from the US, from China, the Middle East. We have a lot of investors. Korea, not as much, but yes, the portfolio is vast. But majority of it comes from the US, from some European countries, and China. And because it's been such a stable market, we've been part of the G7. We're considered to be a place for investment that would definitely reap rewards. We have seen some struggles in the last few years because, we've discussed this so many times, the real estate artificially started going up. There were many different factors. Without getting too deep into it, it was interest rates, COVID, and then the lack of regulation with certain professions, whether it's agents, mortgages. It kind of all came together to create this huge bubble where a lot of people made the money, and then all of a sudden the government decided that it's not sustainable, and they had to do something about it. So they significantly increased the capital gains. They banned foreign investment from Canada.
There were so many lies, so much.
Yeah, there was so much going on, and then all of a sudden, that's why we're seeing in the last 2-3 years, it's cooled off because there's no foreign investment. But I think in order for any country to run, even a giant like United States or China. Everybody needs foreign investment. That's just how global economies work. There's no such thing as we can't do foreign investment. I understand it's like, you know, a mechanism that they use to immediately stop the growth or the inflation of properties, but I think it's now time that foreign investment is reintroduced into our country, create a balance between how much is coming in, and then at the same time kind of allow the local
The opening
economy
in
to thrive
January
as well.
27, right?
Sorry?
Foreign buyers, they opening on January 27.
Yes. So,
But
so
they should, I think, open now.
they should open as soon as possible, but they're, you know...
I think they want to cushion like even Canadian citizens, like in terms of if we like retract back, the reason for it was because our citizens were saying, you know what,
Affordability.
exactly. So they're kind of giving us that fair warning.
So even
and
though
then-
we want the real estate economy to thrive, but you know, that's not everybody's reality. There are people that are not first-time home buyers that are remotely even in a position to buy one. So they're saying, we don't really care about investment foreigners. We want the houses to be
We want
cheap enough so
affordability.
we can afford it, right? So I think all of a sudden, if they open the taps again, I think that could be a mistake, which is why you see that I was hearing the governor of Bank of Canada making remarks along the lines of potentially increasing the interest rate in the coming months and years, because the economy is technically now at a stage where they want it to be. We don't feel that on the ground level because a lot of damage was done in the past few years in terms of inflation, in terms of, you know, the
Increased
way
cost
just
of
the
living.
dynamics of the market. But I think it's time that slowly investment is introduced, foreign investment is introduced, balance between local job growth is another issue. I know that may be irrelevant to real estate, but we don't have a lot of job growth.
We don't have factories, we don't have...
We don't have
Yeah.
big investments. We want somebody like I always say this, I give this example to people that I speak to. We should have our own Amazon, right? We should start up a company that's local Canadian, that's saying, hey, we're whatever our name is, XYZ name, make up a name, and we are local, we're going to start this
Yeah, we're
logistics
depending
company.
on other countries.
And if you're offering the same service as Amazon for a fraction of the price, people will buy your product, right? So Canada has so much potential because America's saturated. America already has Amazons, and America already has, and they're eventually penetrating into our market, but we don't realize we can do startups.
But the thing is, Ayoun,
Yeah.
people, when they get cheaper online, they go buy from there, right?
Yeah.
So when it's Canadian, even we see and we close our eyes because
Yeah.
they're expensive.
Yeah,
Right?
that's the
So that
problem.
is a problem because
The
they're
government does
paying.
and
not
everybody
incentivize-
thinks like that.
Yeah.
you
The
know?
government does not incentivize startups. Encourage, like I see, you know, kids 20 years old, 21 years old, they're very smart kids. The next generation is coming through. The government should
Or they'll
encourage
have
these.
they'll have minimal what would you say, scholarships or awards,
Yeah.
but more than that needs to be done. I
But-
noticed that they get channeled
Yeah.
through schools and they promote the kids to be doing that,
In
but
the
it needs
US,
to be
we
amplified.
noticed, that's what I'm saying. We even noticed that a place like the US, you'll see a 23-year-old billionaire. You'll find like a 28-year-old millionaire. Why? So why aren't we finding those individuals here? It's because of the opportunity.
Even
and-
these kids are very smart.
They are very smart,
yeah,
absolutely.
new
It's just
generation,
lack
yeah.
of opportunity, and I think there is so much vacuum in Canada. There's so much space to grow. We just need to find it. I always say this in your shows. We should make our own car. Get an electric
Yeah.
car. Like, I'm sure we're smart enough. We have enough
Absolutely.
technology to make a car. Introduce it into the market. It all works together because when the foreign investors see that this country is making cars and they're creating infrastructure and their research centers, medical hospitals, they're advancing, they even want to come into your country because they think there's a potential for growth. But when it's just reliance on, oh, we're going to buy a house and sit on it for like a few years and flip it, and that's the only ideology. Economies eventually, yeah, you make short-term profits, but long-term, the economy becomes frail, it becomes weak, right?
Even if we bring more stuff, Canadian stuff, right? People, they cannot afford it. That's what I
That's the
always
problem.
say. Right?
Any local company that's trying to thrive, I guarantee you right now, you're probably going to get cheaper products coming in from China.
Yeah, but
than
that's
products that
where
are
you were
being
saying
made
like
here.
incentivize it, right?
Incentivize it,
Help
yeah.
them.
Like we
you know.
started off this whole thing about there's going to be no taxes between provinces. But really, there's no framework. That's just a one announcement, and then what?
And then there was, I know this is a subjective conversation that we're having, but like I personally felt that it was just lip movement. In the long run, as Canadians, we didn't see anything actually penetrate on the ground, like micro level, and encourage any form of spending power for a layperson.
Yeah.
I didn't see it happen.
Yeah.
So
I think there's
that's some critical
a lot of hidden
criticism.
opportunity that this is for the viewers as well.
Yeah.
Right now, we're seeing a lot of movement, not from a foreign investment perspective, but locally we're seeing a lot of movement. There's a lot of positive signs in the market. Why? Because you're getting HST credits, you're getting HST rebates.
Incentives.
Yes.
Already the market,
There's been
kind
a
of the prices
correction.
market has corrected itself 20%, even higher in some areas, right? So point being is at the moment you give somebody incentive, the same market that we thought was poor or nobody has money, eventually people find ways. People eventually find ways to say, okay, here's an opportunity, I may be able to multiply my investment, let's try.
And we've also seen a lot of like, instead of going in solo, people are like, okay, you know what, we found two partners, we want to invest. That's exciting.
Yeah.
You know, like first it was a very limited mindset of, oh, it's just me going in on this property, or it's just another spouse. But, now they're thinking beyond that. Okay, you know what, I'm going to get one more partner, or I'm going to, couple up with another business partner, and we're going to invest together. We've been seeing a lot of that.
Yeah.
So there's multiple investors in the one property, which kind of even cushions you for any, risks that you're taking.
Yeah.
Dear viewers, as we are talking about the international market and Canadian market, right now is a good time to buy in Canada. If you guys want to buy a house, or you are a foreign investor, which they are going to open in January 2027, you can, in that time, the prices will be, I'm hoping they will be the same, or maybe a little bit more better, or can't say anything, but yeah, so that will be a good time for the international buyers and investors. And right now, if you want to buy a house, or you want to buy any business, any sort of investment in real estate, you can come to me. You can go to Ayoun's firm. We will guide you for HST rebates or any incentives government is offering right now. And I'm your real estate agent who can guide you step by step, and Ayoun can be your real estate lawyer who can guide you step by step, right, Ayoun?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I
We
feel
can
like it's
guide
the
them
most
through-
advantageous time.
Absolutely, even especially for first-time homebuyers that are not familiar with the process, we cushion them, we explain everything to them, we try to break down the costs so that doesn't linger on for the transaction. We clarify, what the costs are going to be, how the closing process is, what difficulties you can face. Depending on the builder you're dealing with, we cushion them through until the end, until the finish line.
And like another question like international people might have is, okay, well, I'm international, how is this going to be professionally managed? The platforms are there. We have ID platforms, we have online ways to connect with potential buyers. So they shouldn't shy away from the entire ordeal because they're scared of not meeting any one of us one-to-one in person, right? So like the online platforms are very secure. It's just a matter of getting in touch, and then our office arranging that for everybody, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so if anyone
Even on
is
the
look-
basic level.
So if anyone is looking for a partner in Canada and they are not here, right? So we can even find.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
So if there's someone internationally watching the show, it's a matter of getting in touch and then connecting on the online platforms virtually, right? Yeah.
Right. And also, guys, as Ayoun's firm is real estate firm, and also they practice family law, which is Sabeeya. And if you guys have any issues right now with your families, she's here to help you out. You guys can reach to them for real estate or for family, or you guys also do the immigration?
Yeah.
We do
and
immigration, we do
litigation as
civil litigation, we do corporate commercial. That's been one of our busy areas for the most recent past. Business purchases, asset purchases. Even if you guys have a question, you guys can call us.
For acquisitions and mergers as
Exactly,
well. Yeah.
buying businesses, that's a very good investment right now. There's a lot
And
of
right now,
businesses
many
out there.
people they are.
Yeah,
like in-
Ayoun's been the
restaurants,
primary
yeah.
lawyer closing Molly Maids.
Yeah, I've been to work
been
for
really
Molly
exciting.
Maids, Milestones. We did a burger factory.
Pure and simple.
Pure and simple,
cups.
yeah,
Yeah,
food,
because
and
because there is not many jobs, so people are more interested in buying the
Yeah.
businesses,
which
right?
exactly exemplifies what I was saying, that people want to, wherever they see the opportunity, the same people that say, oh, you know, it's so hard, and you know, that's just human nature. If you find an opportunity, you will try to push
And
it.
plus, government is giving so many loans for the business loan.
Yeah, and then
Small
and that
business
and Ayoun and I always say, like, you shouldn't shy away from hard work.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and then if it's inside of you and you have that burning desire to get into a niche, it's just a matter of talking to a good team, like
course.
yourself and Ayoun, right?
Yeah.
It's just a matter of connecting. And we always say, like, no question is a bad question. Just ask it.
Yeah.
You know, we always say that, like, what is it? Let's break it down to the very bare
Just,
minimal level, and then
Yeah,
we'll
they
stack
just should
that.
not confuse themselves.
Yeah,
right?
like people just shy away. The
Yeah.
unfortunate bit is that people shy away from potentially they feel like, oh, I don't have the linguistics to put this question together. And then how am I going to express myself? Well, just ask and we'll help you break it down. And then maybe you'll end up with a better answer that you even thought or even
And the
fathomed.
purpose for this show is, guys, to educate you guys about the market, about
Yeah.
the international market, about the Canadian real estate market, if you about the laws, the real estate laws in Canada. So do not shy, and please reach to us whenever you feel like you have any questions. Right, guys?
And
Absolutely.
absolutely, please, another request to our viewers, you know, these search software, AI, these are very good companions, but they do not replace legal advice.
Of course.
I
They
keep on
cannot
saying
be
this to
lawyers.
people. You know, the thing with
Or
AI
any
software is
agents.
they're not, I don't know, about 5 years, I'm not a technology specialist, but we can talk about it for 5-10 years from now when it really replaces us. I don't know, I don't think it ever will, but the systems are smart, but they're not smart enough to replace lawyers. You know, you ask these AI software questions and they answer according to what you're asking. And
And
they'll
it'll always
keep
work
you
to
in an-
satisfy you.
Exactly. It'll continuously keep you in an infinite loop to eventually get to an answer that you want to hear. At the basic level, yes, it's helpful, but you can go ahead and search, but I highly recommend our numbers on the screen, our information. We've been saying this for such a long time. Talk to us, give us a chance, speak to professional lawyers that can help you with your issues, real estate, family, and see for yourself. You know, a lot of people, I know, Sabeeya, some people think when they're getting consultations that they're more knowledgeable than people that have spent 15, 20
You know,
years in the
we have like a
industry.
lot of
It's not
medical, like a
possible.
lot of doctor friends, and we laugh about it because they're complaining that people come in self-diagnosed.
Yeah.
And we're complaining that people come in self-rehearsed, right? So it's like, where do you draw that line? Because these platforms are, you know, there's pros and cons to everything in life, but these platforms will always be giving you an answer that satisfies you, that encourages you, which is really good, right? But at the same time, you have to step back and take on a voice of reason and allow your, whether that be a doctor, a real estate agent, or a lawyer, like people who have gone through scrutinizing years of schooling and tests and now have license, they're there for a reason because they're going to help you reach that level and standard for a good outcome, right? So just be weary of all that. I always tell everybody, like, you know, we're starting this process. I'm okay to progress. Like, I think AI is a phenomenal tool. I'm not shying away from that, but use it with caution.
Yeah.
Is what I'm trying to say.
So I'll give you an example. So if there's ever a claim that, you know, a claimant makes towards a defendant, and let's just say it's a breach of contract, there will always be case law that may or may not support the plaintiff, the party who's bringing the claim, and there will always be case law that supports the defendant. So that's why the courts exist, for both versions to come in with both case law, with what statutory law reliance it is, and then eventually the judge makes the call. So sometimes, like, if you read too deep into AI, it's eventually going to find you.
But it
and like
hallucinates
Sabeeya
as well.
said, yeah,
It hallucinates. It'll fake.
it'll
create
take
an
a case
artificial
and
one,
it'll say,
yeah.
oh yeah, this case supports your matter, so therefore.
But it's a
you know,
fake.
but it's
It's
not
very
real,
interesting.
because in the real life, there's more to it than just one case. There's more to the principle. You have to see reality facts. You have to separate fact from fiction. You have to look at circumstantial evidence. There's so much that goes on that ultimately these things cannot resolve your problems, but they're definitely a good guide and they're
Yeah.
good companions.
Yes. So guys, we're going to discuss Toronto real estate market versus Dubai real estate market. Why people should buy in Toronto, why not in Dubai? Dubai is offering better incentives, I believe.
So
Ground running,
this is a very
ground
this question is very time sensitive. If considering that you're asking
Right
me
now,
that
I
question
know.
today, my answer is very different as to why Canada is currently much more stable. And I hope a dynamic market like Dubai comes back into the market again, as they were world leaders in everything, like very advanced country.
They did make a
secure.
tremendous effort.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What they've achieved is
Phenomenal.
unbelievable, unreal. I know they're suffering with the whole Middle East situation right now. So considering, I think Canada, the fact that it has corrected, like I said, 20% in a lot of areas, it's a good time to invest.
Taking
The
into
reality-
account,
yeah, sorry.
I was going to say taking into account a factor of things, like in regards to safety, healthcare,
yes.
education, like it's not, so when a
Tax
foreign,
relief.
exactly, so when a foreign investor looks upon us, it's like basket all the ideas that we have to offer and then think about how much advantageous it could be. That's the way I would say an international person should look into Canada,
Absolutely.
right?
I think except weather.
Except
People
the weather.
sometimes
Yeah,
they
let's
get
be honest. It's a little.
You know, the problem is we've been here all our life, and I'm not saying I love winter. But it's not a deal breaker for me. It's not something I sometimes hear people
that's
saying.
true.
We get
I wanna
used
If you
leave
pick
the
up on the
country,
sports, you
we
can
wanna
enjoy it.
leave but because we've been here all our life, we've been accustomed to what the weather is. So I actually like it. I like the fact that there's winter
That's
cottaging.
because he's high on his vitamin D.
Yeah, you know, there's winter cottaging, winter sports, and the summer comes. We have our own.
At
style
least
of
we have the
weather.
beautiful four seasons.
Yeah,
I love
that.
the
And
going through the four seasons is beautiful.
But I understand people from South Asia, people from the Middle East, when they're used to consistently being 40 degrees, and now they have to come in minus 40. I know it's hard for them, but
Or
it's
even
just a matter of
places
getting used to it.
like Thailand and Vietnam, like
Yeah.
all those hot spots. Like, I understand that.
But
like
there is a
those-
charm in Canada, you
Yeah.
know. It's
Absolutely,
always
yeah.
been charm in Canada.
Yeah.
Beautiful, clean, and I courteous. The people are friendly, generally speaking. I'm not talking about the
And it's a wide
isolated
country.
issue.
It's very open, right?
Open.
Yeah.
There's
Air
so
is
much to
good,
explore.
yeah.
Like I was telling Sabeeya that if we were to explore this country for the next even 10 years on a yearly basis, you still wouldn't.
You would have
know,
more to discover.
You would have
right?
more to do. There's so much
So
depth in
much, yeah.
Canada. Yeah, there's so
Yeah.
much to do. And like I said, investment opportunities are there. Now I'm seeing developments going a little farther from the GTA. So I really hope the whole government, immigration, and foreign investors, all of that comes together. We have a proper vision in our mind, and we implement that with our best foot forward.
So in Dubai, foreigners can own 100% property in designated freehold areas, right? So what is in Toronto?
So foreign investments, so it really depends on what property you're buying. If you're buying a freehold basically means that you own the land and the property itself.
So there's no fees on it.
There's no fees on it unless you're buying, there's different kinds of property you can buy in Ontario. So freehold meaning that there's no condominium corporations managing the property. There are no common elements associated with the property, meaning like cleanup, snow shoveling, driveway, gardening, maintenance, tennis courts, swimming pools, anything of that sort. Those are freehold properties. So if foreign investors are buying these properties, it's 100% ownership. But if you're getting into condo hold, it's generally very transparent. Like they won't make you get into it not knowing what the cost is. So before you buy, they'll tell you, you know, this is how much you pay monthly. There's two kinds. So there's one called the condo hold, which is like normally apartments that have a higher common elements payment per month because there's more that's being managed. So gyms and front security guards, because you know how condo requires a lot of common areas.
Swimming pools.
Yeah, but nowadays
And then
they're-
your lawyer will review the status certificate and even do a deep sea dive on that
which is
one.
very, very important. So
Yeah.
if you're especially buying a condo, Because nowadays there's a lot of attractive price with condos as well. So a lot
Because
of people are
decline a
considering
lot, right?
Absolutely.
long term. I'm not suggesting short term, but long term investment. People are looking into it. So if you guys ever want
It's
to
like the
review,
best time to purchase
you
that.
have to review status certificates. It
Yeah.
reveals a lot about the property. Is there fungus in the property? Are there any lawsuits against the property? You know, are there any arrears in the property? Are there
There are enough
is there
funds.
outstanding work that needs to be
Yeah.
done?
If
You know,
there are
some-
enough funds in that.
you don't
yeah.
realize if a apartment building ceiling needs repair, sometimes it's $3 million, right? And that comes out of the pockets of the residents because that's how you pay. So it's very, very important you do that. And then the third kind is what I'm seeing very common nowadays are like townhouses, but like it's called parcel of tied land. So it's not a very complete condo whole property, but just a part of that property is associated with like a common
corporation,
element. So it
yeah.
could be you're within a complex and somebody's going to come clean your shovel your snow and clean your parks
Maintain
and stuff,
grass.
and stuff like that.
And those properties can be very nice for parents that have young kids.
Young kids or older people,
Yes,
right?
or
Yeah.
seniors. I noticed that a lot, that
Absolutely.
gravitate towards those kind of properties when Ayoun's closing. Or like we recommend them for our seniors or, like a new mom or a
Yeah.
new, like who's newly divorced because she doesn't want to take the shovel in. Let's be honest, she doesn't want to shovel her driveway when she has a newborn to be taken care of.
And these properties are, the common expense payment per month is generally not very high. I've seen even as low as $90,
Yeah.
$80. I've seen builders giving incentive to pay for these for the first 2 years. So these are the kind of properties that you can own as foreign investments and foreign investors. And generally, other than the whole block of and foreign investor not able to buy, is generally a very good playing field for investors.
Because I know in Dubai they don't need a residency, right, to buy.
I'm not entirely sure. I wouldn't comment on that because I haven't studied the residency requirements in Dubai, but I do know for a fact that Canada,
They offer some immigration. If you buy something there,
Right.
so they offer the
A
immigration.
type of visa, right?
a type of
Visa,
visa.
visa,
Okay.
Yeah.
So again, I would definitely look into it, but I don't think Dubai offers PR programs. I know that Canada, I was just recently hearing one of the ministers, they're considering introducing immigration streams in Canada where you could do a certain level of investment into the infrastructure or the real estate in Canada, and that could eventually turn into a
But
immigration
is it
stream.
coming
Oh,
or it's
America
already
did
there?
that
No,
most
it's not
recently,
coming
right?
yet. It's just being discussed.
It is being
It's
discussed.
So
tabled,
people are
right?
considered because people are now in the government. They're planning.
They should bring something.
I think
Absolutely
America
have
just
to.
did that most recently, right?
Yeah.
Like a $3 or $5
They
million
let go-
investment.
I don't know the exact name for it, but I know they let
Yeah.
go of the work visa. I have lack of terminology. I don't know, but they introduced a minimum level of investment. I think Trump
America-
gives you a gold
yeah,
card, right? They give you
yeah.
a gold card. So I don't know if it's 1 million or 10 million.
Yeah,
To be honest,
something.
because
Yeah.
America's not
So
my
they
jurisdiction,
potentially
so I
might be
wouldn't know.
pivoting off of that idea.
Yeah. So people are getting ideas, and it's working. In the States, people are making money. Real estate is booming there. In fact, real estate is very, very stable in the United States.
It
right
always
now.
kind of has been.
And it's a
Other
long-term
than
vision,
other
long-term
than
strategy.
our flocking birds
Yeah.
that are no longer going to Florida because we're boycotting.
But-
And another good thing about Dubai is they have a strong rental yield, often highest than Toronto, London.
So before, obviously, the war, a lot of people were going to Dubai. That's a fact.
Yeah.
It was a market.
And I think it was mostly because of security. Like a lot of Instagrammers and influencers were prioritizing
Yeah.
security.
Quality of education,
Yeah.
quality of hospitals, like Sabeeya said, security. There's so much to do there for a kid as young as 2, for an old person like 67. Everybody has something to do. Tax breaks are very high. Like there's minimal to no tax when you're going into Dubai, especially the kind of money that people flock into with from
Yeah.
Russia and
It's
China.
only now
and-
the
It's just the war that's kind of
that has kind of crumbled
destabilizing
down.
that area
Yeah.
right now. So everybody's kind of turned off. Maybe it's going to create an opportunity for Canada. A lot of people that are Dubai based, there's a lot of South Asians, Indian, Pakistanis, Bangladeshis. So, it's either that or Canada. People look towards North America.
I think
in
they're now
general. So
looking, I think the pendulum shift is
Yeah, we're
now
getting calls
trying to
from-
find,
I'm getting calls from
safety.
people in Dubai saying, we were planning on investing in a condominium in Dubai and now they're switching here. Not to say that Dubai, I know because your question was specific to Dubai, what they're doing. There's definitely a lot of opportunity, not right now as we speak, but as soon as it gets on its feet, and this hopefully, inshallah, this
It just
war
stabilizes the
subsides.
factor of safety.
I think they're going to get back on their feet.
So probably we should match something with Dubai, whatever they offer,
Tax
right?
breaks.
Tax breaks,
Tax
right?
breaks, capital gains tax, foreign investment restrictions should be lessened. And
I think
again,
that's what's
moderately,
going to be rolling out in
Yeah.
2027.
Moderately,
Yeah.
maybe slowly kind of introduce the idea of foreign investors coming into non-GTA areas, because anything that's GTA then becomes like a battleground for
Everyone.
everyone. It's like I would say that people just go crazy and there's bidding, and you don't want that kind of environment in GTA right now, because we're gonna go back to where we were, the problematic high cost, high inflation, high. You don't want that. You want stable. You want what the United States does. A property that was 500,000 10 years ago is probably 600,000 today. So it's like a gradual $20,000 solid increase, rather than just sitting on it for 1 year and saying, oh, my property doubled. We don't want that. It's artificial. A property cannot be doubled in a year. It's not how economies work.
So Ayoun, one other thing, since we always talk about the current affairs, so right now, that what we are talking is like a little bit in future, right?
Yeah.
But whatever is, we spoke last
Current.
time, like
Yeah.
right now, many people who are not able to close their units. So what should we advise to the government, like how they can help to the people who can, not the builder side, on the buyer side, right?
So the problem is, Saima, that the government will never do anything because these are private contracts. If you legally look at it, if the government wants to do some election gimmickry and they want to come up with something, these are private corporations you're dealing with. So they will not make announcements that
Satisfies
infringe
them.
these corporation rights, because Madame and Daniels and these big builders, whether we like it or not, they're the driving force of
Yeah.
this country. So the government will never impose restrictions on private contracts that were supposed to be fulfilled. So my advice to people would be, don't wait on the government coming in and trying to help you. I've said this in the last show as well. If you're in a problem where you can't close and you're not able to match that amount, you number one need a lawyer. And you may hear this often from everyone that, oh, you're going to get a lawyer, but at the end of the day, nothing's going to happen and they're still going to
And
take
they
money.
should talk everything on emails or message,
Absolutely,
right?
yeah.
They should not talk verbally.
So
Yeah.
the idea is not to make your losses zero. The idea is to mitigate them. So if you're paying 300,000, hey, let's see if we can bring it down to 150. So my advice to them is get a lawyer on board. Everything needs to be written, and all the communication that you do with the builder's lawyer is what's going to define in front of the judge of what you did to mitigate your damages, to see that, hey, this guy, so if a judge is looking at a person who cannot close, obviously that's a violation of a contract because you couldn't close, but hey, the judge can try to reduce that impact of the damage on you by saying, let's crunch some numbers. The person tried to mitigate, the person tried to settle, the person tried to offer. That shows good intention. So all that has to be processed regardless of whether you like it or not,
Yes.
because that is what's going to help
And the
you in
prerogative
future.
is that the opposition doesn't leave with a windfall because of your unfortunate shortcoming.
Yeah.
So it's very important that your lawyer helps you strategize that approach to come to a fruitful outcome where you're thinking, okay, you know what? I think I can pay this off, maybe in installments, maybe in a different way, maybe pulling some numbers from a different asset that you may potentially own. But it's better now than later, because remember, also all of this accumulates interest. So you want to make sure that on the ground running, when you realize that you can't, potentially close this, or you can't fill that gap in terms of the builder and the bank's evaluation, then instantly you just need to have some preliminary conversations and absorb the reality of the situation and try to mitigate your damages.
Yeah, it's very important that you get on top of it. Because if you don't do anything, And you're
The
like, well,
builder's just
they're
going
gonna
to
take
keep
the money,
accumulate that narrative. Yeah.
they will get an order of their liking, especially if you have
It's
personal
unfortunate,
assets
yeah.
against your name. They'll come after you. So they will say, well, because you did not respond to any of the, the court materials, you have to pay the entire amount of the damage. Whereas if you had gone through a lawyer, they would have helped you. And regardless, you're going to have to pay. Even if you don't have the money, it's an order against you.
And then that's where we go back to our very preliminary conversation that all three of us always have. Like, bring the contract in and let's dissect it together.
Yeah. And if,
Right?
if you want to continue, we're there to help you. If you decide not to continue, that's your choice. But at least we
Yes.
point out the risk.
Yes.
What can be the another option? Like they should open some trust account we discussed previously, so they can put their assets if they have other assets.
It's not a
But
good idea because
post
when you
that?
get into because when you get into
That
financial
doesn't matter.
disclosures, they're going to ask you for even the disposed of property. So if you're putting something into trust, that's considered you're disposing it off from your title. So if they
Yeah.
see that
That's
the
bad
time,
faith,
yeah,
right?
that's bad faith because the courts will not, accommodate you on
They're
a
not gonna
humanitarian
digest that
basis
well.
that, the struggle was genuine.
How
That's
about
actually
if they
hiding your
transfer
assets.
to their some family member?
You could, but the fact that that asset was transferred after the date of the breach,
Yeah.
that becomes a problem. So they will say that that was considered your assets after the breach. So
And
I'm not
doing
saying
the tracing of funds is very easy, but
Yeah,
this is a
everything's
very,
electronic nowadays.
the conversation you're having is like legal advice, and in no way is this legal advice or
Yeah.
anybody thinking that
just
this is just a
discussing, yeah.
preliminary conversation.
Yeah.
Please reach out to a lawyer, whether that be us or anyone of your liking. Like, it's not a legal advice in any
It's-
which
it's
way
not
or
a one
form,
fixed
but
rule for
there are a
everyone.
lot of
And
variables
we're not against
yeah.
against anyone, right? It's
Yes,
just a
these are a
simple
lot
thought,
of
yeah.
variables and it's assumptions and presumptions. So if you find that you are having these thoughts, then you need to understand that this is not the correct channel to be doing that. You know?
Absolutely. Give us
Yeah.
a call. We
Yeah.
can definitely talk to everybody. Everybody's situation is different. Some people come to me saying, I'd have zero money. Some people come to me saying, I have no money, but I have assets. Some people come to me saying, I have absolutely nothing or absolutely everything. Everybody's is custom tailored. We have to look at the contract. The first thing I would see is to look at the contract. If there's any exit strategies, it generally doesn't.
Which I highly doubt it.
I highly doubt there are exit strategies, but sometimes you can rely on certain things. And I think the best way forward is to settle.
And then,
And it's to
sorry,
mitigate.
just to retract back, this is what you and I were discussing downstairs, that when you have like a solid real estate agent that understands your budget from the get-go, then you really don't find yourself in this hard predicament. Like, if you know your budget and you know exactly what you're getting into, you trust your real estate agent, then you bring that contract to your lawyer, you discuss it even further, you're scrutinizing it even further, then you end up with really good, fruitful results.
Sure.
But if you're not hitting the reality ground running, then,
If you're just
I'm
running away from the
forecasting something
problem,
really
yeah.
difficult for you in the
We
future.
can close our eyes. right?
Yeah.
So guys, our talk for today for international investment in real estate was really good. We have spoken about so much stuff, and I hope you guys will enjoy today's show. And at the last, I can tell like what is how much is the closing cost in Dubai and in Toronto. The closing cost is almost same except land transfer, right?
Land transfer tax, capital gains,
Yeah,
especially
capital
foreign
gains.
investment is coming.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of Toronto has more taxes. than
Yeah, more
Dubai,
taxes, right? Which hopefully we will sort it out later, the government. And thank you guys.
No,
Oh
it
my
was
goodness, so
lovely. I feel like there's so much more to talk about.
we will,
But we're
inshallah.
limited
go
on
so
time, and
fast.
time goes really fast.
Okay.
But thank you for having us. It was wonderful chatting with you.
Absolutely.
Come again.
All right, friends and my viewers, thank you so much for watching us and giving us always a good feedback. Please reach to us whenever you have a question, whatever questions you have. Do not shy. Reach to Ayoun, reach to Sabeeya, reach to me, and we are always here to help you out in any sort of matter of your life. Thank you so much, and see you in my next show. Bye.